Professor Bushman. Thank you for, by the way, all the information you gave to my wife Kathleen has benefited her greatly. You were a professor and our family as well. I was, a few comments and then a question, but I was really jumping out of my seat with zeal here today. I think through the Holy Spirit in agreement with everything you said, especially about John Paul II and the new evangelization, and also what Steve had to say about how it's so important, and I'm new to this, but it's so important not to turn on the radio feed and just run what's already there, but maybe I'm thinking, I'm big enough to think out of the box, but I believe the Holy Spirit is alive. There's new voices out there, new means, new vocabulary, as you said. I'm one, I'm sure of many, but we put together a new radio program, and a father of 14. I think that, by the grace of God and a wonderful wife, I'm the father of 14, but perhaps that gives me a voice, that people will listen to and want to hear the positive side of marriage and joy and large families and openness to life and all that stuff. So how important do you think it is, and I don't know that much about the programming director side of the business, but how important do you think it is maybe to make the extra effort to listen to and look at some new possibilities, some new voices to add to Catholic radio?
That's a great question. Let me speak in terms of both experience and some general principles. Experience first. When I was at Relevant Radio, one of the most popular hours was Fulton Sheen. Now, our culture has evolved quite a bit since he was at the zenith of his career as a broadcaster, and people are still finding his message timely. People today still read John of the Cross and Teresa of Avila and St. Augustine, and so while there's some truth about keeping current, there are masters who found a way of almost transcending the times they were in, and they can still speak to us. But you probably agree with me that generally speaking, the people that are going to benefit the most from a Fulton Sheen or a St. Augustine, John of the Cross, whoever it might be, are people who are already fairly well formed in their faith and really want to have their faith affirmed on the radio, and maybe learn something as well. I love Matthew 13:52, where Jesus talks about the scribe who knows how to draw out of his treasury things both old and new. There's a scriptural model for radio, and actually Paul VI used that to talk about Vatican II. So if that summarizes a dimension of Vatican II, and if the new evangelization began with Vatican II, then we can take a lead from that passage from Matthew's Gospel, and there's no way to know how things are going to play without some kind of experiment. In my third talk, I'm going to talk about the role of charisms in the church. Okay, some of them are timeless. The charism of Saint Benedict and his order that has thrived in many cultures and throughout many centuries. And so let's not have a one-sided idea of it's always got to be new and fresh. That being said, the Holy Spirit provides for all of the needs of the church. And in every single generation, he's going to raise up men and women who have faith and who have the proper formation and experience. And we do definitely have to keep shaking the bushes and be on the lookout for folks like that. Everywhere I go, every time I turn around, I bump into a disciple of Scott Hahn. If you can tell a tree by its fruits, this is an amazingly fruitful tree. This man, not only the things that he's written and the talks that he's given, but his disciples are faith-filled. They got, as one priest friend of mine said, they got fire in their belly, and it's Christ-centered, but it's Catholic, and it's liturgical, and it's historical, biblical. Mary has her place, and it just seems so good. And so we have to constantly be on the lookout for how the Holy Spirit is speaking to the church in our age. And now I'm paraphrasing Cardinal Ratzinger, Benedict XVI. Perhaps the best place to look is at those who are living conspicuously holy lives. Mother Teresa, John Paul himself, and the other modern contemporary saints. That's what the Holy Spirit is saying to the church. And we really need to listen there I don't know if I'll say first, but we better have our antenna up there. And so I'll stop there. I guess to summarize my response, it's a question of balance. If our whole purpose is to get people in contact with Jesus, to deepen their relationship with the Lord, their liturgical encounter with Him, their devotion to the Blessed Mother, then we shouldn't be surprised that some great masters, as I said, are timeless. But we also need men and women who can speak sometimes more directly to our times. And if I may end there, I intend to come to talk about the role of charisms in Catholic radio in the Church and reading the signs of the times in my third talk. I think that'll go further in responding to your question, for which I thank you.